Alright guys, I'd like to start off with an apology before we do this relook. I do everything I can to keep these videos at like 10% because that's what YouTube says is the optimal time. Anything more than that, you guys aren't going to watch. But a lot of you do, thank goodness, because you caught me in a huge mistake on Thor's lock, the very last video. Alright, and the reason I fell for that, a couple of reasons. First time I see the insides of a lock is when I open it on camera. You see it the same time I'd see it. I don't edit it, I don't cut anything out, I expose my full stupidity. And here's what happened on this lock. And then a lot of you pointed out what I should have noticed and failed to. When I pulled this thing out of the piece of plastic tubing that was set up in these handcuffs, this jumped out. Because it's unusual, I mean, I think that was designed to grab my eye, and it certainly did. I totally focused on this little side detent. And after the video was over, I couldn't for the life of me really figure out how it worked because it doesn't protrude down into the keyway or into the core at all. When the core is in there, if you recall when I would pick it, this thing would get stuck at about 45 degrees. Wouldn't allow me to rotate it any further. Then I have to reset it and then repick it. And I always got stuck at 45 degrees. And I did that 6 times over a 1 hour period. Well, if the side were to lock it up at 45, there has to be something for that detent to have gone into, and there's nothing. I mean, there's a pin, but I think that also is part of the decoy. It might have been part of the original design that didn't work out, but the point is it didn't lock that core. Something else had to. You look around the body, there's no other holes, so it had to have come from the core itself. Well, when it's at 45 degrees and you pull it out, you notice these 3 little holes do line up when it's at 45 degrees. And I even took my probe and dug some grease out of these things in the original video, and I still failed to recognize the significance of these things. Now these little grooves they're cut at a straight angle on one side, and then they've been carefully angled on the other to catch something when you rotate it clockwise, but then when you rotate it counterclockwise, that little angle, that little slope allowed whatever it was to go back into the original keyway. Well, what could it be? And a lot of you guys pointed this out. I was so stupid. Here's another decoy, the original hole in the key. I mean, it doesn't do anything. The part that actually locks this up is right here. Now, look on the core. It's on position 2, 3, and 6. And when you look at position 2, 3, and 6, they all have these little homemade T-pin things. And they all had a little wafer riding right in front of them. So if you picked it to the right shear line, which would have been right there, it would rotate with no problem. But if you picked one of these pins or all of the pins to the wrong shear line, and in other words, you picked it past that wafer, and that really is the first significant feedback that you'd get when you hit that. That's when you get a little bit of counter rotation and you get a solid ka-chunka or solid click. That would be those little tits solidly locking up inside of one or more of those 3 little holes. That's what would stop you. And you think, well, I'll be able to access the pin. I'm probably caught up on a T-pin because of the extreme angle. So you'd reach up in there, and what you wouldn't realize is that you're in a trap, and there's no way you're going to access those trap pins from the keyway because it's located all the way over here. Once you're in it, you're in it. You're not getting out. The only solution is to rotate it back, allow all the pins to reset, and then repick it, hoping to be lucky that you pick to the right shear line on those 3. And in an hour of picking, 6 separate picking attempts, I was never that lucky, not even a single time. Anyway, guys, I apologize for screwing this up so badly, and I appreciate you guys watching past that 10-minute mark to point it out to me. It certainly made a big difference. I can't believe I fell for that decoy, but that's why you guys put them in there, and that's why I was born just a little bit brain damaged to fall for stuff like that. Appreciate it, guys. Stay safe, stay legal. Thor, more awesome than I could even have imagined. Appreciate it.